Republicans ripping themselves to shreds.
Yes, that's a big thing. Like that.
Yeah.
That's really quite a shocking thing because we haven't really seen anything like that for a long time in America.
Yeah, I mean the last time that it took more than once was in 1923. It took 8 times.
Yeah.
But could be worse. In 1855, it took them 4 months at one point.
Really?
Yeah,
Damn.
to elect a speaker. So, it's not as...
So we've got a new speaker now.
Americans.
Yes. America has got a new speaker now. Yeah, Kevin McCarthy.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him? Because I haven't read too much about him, but I know he's quite a renowned person, I guess, really around America.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I would say he's universally not renowned.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he's standard Trump.
Okay, so he's okay. So he's more of a Trump guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he works for himself, not really for the people. But then again, he represents about 1.5 million people. So it's kind of difficult for him to be representative. But yeah, he's now the leader. He's been pursuing Speaker's job for quite a long time. Okay. So
because I have not really read too much about him, but I have heard the name here and there. But it doesn't really sort of, I don't know. It's not really a name that you hear very often. So it'll be interesting to see what he's.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I did see because they finally elected someone yesterday, and the person who lost to him, the Democrat.
Yeah.
The Democrat somehow ended up being he gave a speech before handing over the gavel.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the best speeches that has been made in a long time. That was doing a really rousing speech.
Very heartfelt.
Yeah.
That in America, our diversity is a strength. It is not a weakness. An economic strength, a competitive strength, a cultural strength. Our diversity is a strength. It is not a weakness. We are a gorgeous mosaic of people from throughout the world. As John Lewis would sometimes remind us on this floor, we may have come over on different ships, but we're all in the same boat now. We are white, we are black, we are Latino, we are Asian, we are Native American, we are Christian, we are Jewish, we are Muslim, we are Hindu, we are religious, we are secular, we are gay, we are straight, we are young, we are older, we are women, we are men, we are citizens, we are dreamers. Out of many, we are one. That's what makes America a great country.
And McCarthy's effort was basically shit in comparison.
Yeah, so when because this whole renowned thing I saw online, that's from a perspective, I believe, then of a sort of Trump kind of person, really. Yeah, so it doesn't sound renowned at all. Yeah.
No. But yeah, so that's kind of the main big news thing that's happened at the moment.
Yeah.
But I figured we should address something that is, to try and get people to know who we are.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's probably where we're from, because you're from...
I'm from, so I live in, we both live now in East London. My family originates from East London on my dad's side. My mum's side comes from Essex.
Yeah.
My dad lives in Kent right now. My mum and the rest of the family from my dad's side and my mum's side all live in Essex. So I'm very much been brought up in the south of England.
Yeah. Whereas I am a good old northerner. Technically have up northerner, got northern. All my family live up north.
Yeah.
Got Irish heritage like most Geordies. So yeah,
it's a very standard northern vibe, northern energy. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of. So I thought we could kind of figure out in a podcast sort of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly what the differences are, and I did actual proper research.
Oh, okay.
Whereas
so got some actual.
Yeah, like house prices, and also, by the way, how it works in the UK for anyone who's not from the UK. Scotland hits England, The north of England hates the south of England.
Yes.
Everyone hates London, and no one knows that Wales exists.
Yeah,
that's basically how it works.
That is pretty much the long and the short of it. And the hate for London is huge.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, people,
you moved here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So I moved for uni.
Yeah. I mean, I moved for completely different reasons. But well, university being one of them. But the hate for London, they make out London to be a very sort of grand city outside of the UK, and I think for back in the past, back years ago, it was, but right now,
I mean, obviously I was born in Quebec City in Canada.
Yeah.
So we have the same thing with Toronto.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks Toronto's this amazing place, and then if you had to go there, everyone realizes, oh, it's a dump.
Right. See, I've never been to Canada. I've always got. It's quite an appealing place to go to. I would like to go because
definitely worth going.
French speaking, English speaking, you know, and it's.
Oh, that's just in Quebec.
Just in Quebec.
Yeah, French. You know, Canadian bilingualism is a complete scam.
Right. Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That. Yeah. I wasn't aware of that.
So yeah. Unfortunately, the research I did, I'm trying to find it.
And it's disappeared.
It half disappeared. Oh, there we go. It might be this one. Yes, here we go. So I've got actual facts.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm gonna kind of use
go
those.
through. Yeah.
But yeah, like I mean, obviously the things that most people know about the north-south divide. Like for example, I say Bath. You probably say.
I say Bath, obviously with a very wide R to it. Yeah.
Yep. Which is wrong.
No, man. I mean, to be fair, I must say to a southern person, and I think as well, because I've worked with people from like northern parts of England, you know, Liverpool, things like that, and it's quite. I think a lot of people, especially in England, find the northern accent quite authentic. Whereas I think people find the southern accent a bit flat, do you know what I mean? But then I've noticed that people like from outside of the UK, when they hear a northern accent, then they can't really identify which part of the UK it's from.
I mean, it's gone down. Missy. Like it used to be a case of you could tell which side of a river people were on. Just by their accents.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are dialects as well, so like, you probably wouldn't have the foggiest idea what an old Yorkshire person was saying, because they'd be saying it in dialect.
Yeah. Because some places have got their own. Yeah.
I mean, one thing is, because the part of Northern England I'm from is on the border between Yorkshire and the North East. So, you know, Shakespeare's like thee, thy, those sorts of things.
Yeah.
We still use those.
Really?
In Yorkshire, some old people use it. So whereas people are like, what the hell does this mean?
Yeah.
We're just used to it.
Whereas in London, especially back in the day, we used to, obviously we had the rhyming slang here. You know, apples and pears meaning stairs.
Yeah.
Rubbity-dub, which was the pub.
Yep.
Uncle Ned is your head. You know, Scotch eggs was your legs. So many of it. That goes on and on.
Londoners speak a different language.
Yeah, on your Jack Joan was on your own, and apparently, yeah. That was one. Yeah. You know, so
I mean, a northern thing. So like Geordies will say. So one of the things, like if you're trying to do a Geordie accent, is you would say, "I'm going to Doontown," which means I'm going to Newcastle City Centre.
Really?
Yeah. And then there's other words like they know when you get like a bit of wood in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a spelk for us.
A spelk?
Yeah,
really?
You guys call it
plank of wood.
Sorry, a plank of.
Like,
have you had a plank of wood in your arm before?
I mean, not really, but you know, who knows? I mean,
yeah, splinter, I think you call it.
Splinter.
Yeah. We
I
call
thought
those
you were
spelks.
talking. I honestly thought you were talking like a big plank of wood sort of thing. Like, but like, yeah, I don't know. The brain's a bit dead. But honestly, lots of differences, you know.
Yeah.
Also, I think another thing that's quite different is the food. People in the north of England Me and a mate of mine, we joke around because when he goes home, lives in Blackpool, he goes and he loves chips with gravy, and he noticed that people here in the south never seem to have chips with gravy, like ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's kind of normal. I mean, this is also, Quebecan thing. At Cheese Street, you got poutine. So,
right.
And yeah, I mean, my parents, first time, because I grew up in Boston, so my foster parents had, they were like, oh, we need to learn more about Canada. And they said, oh, well, we'll try Canadian food. So one was like, okay, what's poutine and how do I make it? I was like, well, what you do is what you already order, that.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing that we have in Teesside is something called a chicken parmesan, and basically it's like it's chicken with parmesan sauce on it.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah,
and it's not available anywhere else in the UK. Like genuinely, you got Newcastle, it's not available.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's just a Teesside thing.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's. I'll tell you something else because I'm a musician, so I played a gig in Leeds a couple of months ago. I told you about this one, and the whole I must say the northern area, the amount of rain. I mean, it's raining quite a lot today in London, but the amount of rain and the sort of the wind. And it does feel, the weather feels so different when you're up north. Like it does, it has a much more kind of crisper feel to it in the air, if that makes sense. It's quite in your face, and it's quite also the ground. I know it feels quite high, whereas up here in London, it's down here in London rather, it's quite low.
Yeah. Anyway, for heads and purposes, again. Just because I can't transfer large classes. Just start again from zero. But London's its own. It's a climate reason because it's a big city and there's there's 11 million people in London.
Yeah, London's a very big.
It's literally
area.
The body heat of people raises the temperature by a few degrees. So it's always a few degrees warmer.
And think of how crazy that is. That is.
I mean, you get the same thing in New York. New York's always warmer than places like New Jersey or even like just outside the city. So you get that sort of thing. But I mean, I think we should have a look at some actual proper statistics,
intellectual stuff. Let's go.
We are university students, so
let's go.
Of course, we have to have academics, and there isn't any here.
Yes.
By the way, the source of this is a website called Statistica. Which is basically tons of statistics about basically everything. But figured the way, I mean, how much would you guess? So there's often says about there's an economic divide, right?
Yeah.
So in the south, I basically have done it by cities. So I used for this, I used Southampton, Bristol, Leicester, and Norwich. For the south,
and
I used Newcastle, Manchester, Leeds, and Carlisle.
Okay.
As the kind of cities to go by, because they're reasonably big cities.
I'd say they're the biggest places around north and south, pretty much. Manchester's huge.
Yeah, Manchester's got 3 million people.
Yeah. Leeds is pretty big.
Also, I didn't use Birmingham as the south, but just if anybody from Birmingham was watching, you live in the south. The Midlands is not a thing. You live in the south. And stop trying to be northern. You're not. You're just not, right? But the average salary, the average household income in the south is about 33 grand, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How much less do you think it is in the north?
Well, I've never lived up north, but living in the south all my life, I know that everything costs a lot and you don't get much back. So I'm going to say in the north, it's at least 10 grand cheaper.
Sorry, 10 grand? Okay, so it's not that.
Okay.
I mean, it's 5 grand less. Not cheaper, the actual salary. So how much people get paid.
So it's like...
So so in the south...
28 grand.
Yeah, 28 grand is how much people on average get paid.
So the reason why I jumped to 10 grand... I was thinking, I jumped to 10 because the amount of people that come from the north are usually so shocked at how, and this is probably another cultural thing as well. They're very shocked at how the prices are around pubs or things like that. So naturally, as a southerner, my perspective on the north is that everything is massively cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, I should mention obviously if you're getting food near the Tower of London, it's going to cost more. Like Central London is significantly, like London as a city is significantly more expensive than the north, than the south.
I mean, if you go for a pint near the Tower of London, you're looking probably
15 quid, something like that.
Yeah.
I reckon you're in that ballpark.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of so that's sort of different.
Yeah.
For reference.
And this is going to be a really actually completely raw conversation because I've only been up north for like 2 days and I've not really experienced. I didn't even get to experience much of it. So
I mean, I should also mention I'm going to reference London's prices purely because they are so different. But in London, the average salary is £39,000.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot. I mean, London, like the rest of the UK, is a low wage economy, so that's been dragged up by the high earners.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about 39 grand.
Okay, yeah.
Here's where it comes in though, because the cost of a 1-bedroom apartment. I'm going to get you to guess how much you reckon you would pay in the centre of the city.
Right. Okay.
Right. So, have you been to Newcastle before?
I have never been to Newcastle ever.
Right. So Newcastle is a major city. It's got about 500,000 people. Over 500,000 people.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a major like crossroads, major airport nearby. It's a
very central kind of northern place.
It's very central. It's one of, I mean, there are 5 major cities in the UK. London, Birmingham, Manchester, Newcastle, and Glasgow. Those are like the major cities with massive populations.
Yeah.
So how much do you reckon it costs for a central apartment in Newcastle?
Oh damn. So we're saying a 1-bedroom apartment.
1-bedroom apartment in the centre of town.
I'm honestly thinking like £2,000 maybe.
£2,000.
Like monthly, like a rent.
Yeah, £2,000 a month rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, £784.50.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's how much it costs if you've got a central, central Newcastle.
That is so cheap.
Yeah, like if you're
oh my god, 1 room.
For a 1-bedroom apartment, yeah. Outside the central area, so for people from Newcastle, thinking places like Gosforth, Gateshead, those sorts of places.
Yeah.
£536.
Oh my god, that is absolutely.
And
that is ridiculously cheap.
And Newcastle has a metro system, so it's not even a thing of I have to live in the centre because that's where everything is.
No,
you can just get on the metro. Right.
So that is to me that's just ridiculously cheap.
Manchester, a little bit more expensive.
Okay.
At 925 quid for central Manchester.
I mean, that makes sense, I guess, because Manchester is a bigger city, more kind of known. I guess. Well, the record is
Manchester has 3 million people in its metro area.
It's got a few more people.
Newcastle has 1.5 million.
Yeah. So it's a bigger population in Manchester.
Yeah. This is one that I know you've been to, right? I know you've been to Leeds.
Yeah.
Right?
For about 2 days, and I didn't really leave near the station.
You bought a pint. So I'm guessing you kind of got an idea of the sort of price and brain set.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So take a guess how much. It's in the middle, by the way.
It's in the middle.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about maybe £850.
Yeah, a bit lower. £806 is the average in Central.
No way.
Outside of Central, it's £592.
Now, I think it's worth mentioning here that for my university room, I'm paying that for a shared kitchen and all that here, and that's in London.
I mean, just for reference,
we have the same sort of room, and this is what you get for a room. It's literally a bed, bathroom, got on both sides.
It's
You
not
know.
a lot, and bearing in mind this is one of the bigger rooms as well, right? So
Yeah.
the smaller rooms, you have, oh my god, nothing.
Oh, it's a pizza slice.
It
It's
is
ridiculous.
and the bathroom is like a when you go on a train, like the tiny little bathrooms in a train, like
Yeah.
or an airplane.
I mean, that might be a bit ambitious. So,
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
now Carlisle as the last one, and Carlisle's kind of like it's a small city on the Scottish borders. It's a very nice area. It's at the top of the lakes. Really great place to be.
Sounds good. Yeah.
590 quid for the middle in the middle of
The
Carlisle.
middle. What?
In the middle of Carlisle, 590 quid.
Oh my god, that's
Genuinely,
so cheap.
I had to look on Rightmove, and
Yeah.
there are apartments in my hometown of Darlington, which is a major railway interchange. The Treasury is now up there.
Yeah.
There's student loans. They all come from up there. There you can get an apartment just outside the centre for 350 quid
What?
for a one bedroom
For
apartment.
350 quid.
Yeah.
And let me just tell you this, right? I brought a new. I've mentioned before, I'm a musician. I brought
Yeah.
a musical instrument for more than that.
Yeah.
That is. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I'm so shocked by that 350 quid. Wow.
Yeah. That's Darlington, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
But now let's go to the south. So
Right.
I'm just going to run through these ones, but the gap isn't actually as big because I used, I didn't use like the big, like showy cities, but
Yeah.
I mean, one thing, I mean, there's only one of these that's actually in four figures.
Okay.
So Southampton, which if you've never been, don't go. It's a dump.
Okay.
Right.
Fair enough.
It's
Yeah.
805 quid.
How much? 805.
805 pounds.
That's still fair. I mean,
Yeah.
cheaper than where we live at the minute. So yeah.
Yeah. Bristol is £1,119.
Oh, I've been to Bristol actually.
I can see why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a really great area. A lot of good nightlife.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense.
Leicester, £750. I should also mention whether Leicester's north or south is a bit controversial, but the University College London did a study with like a squiggly line,
Yeah.
which basically put Leicester in the south.
Okay.
But Leicester is further north than Coventry,
Right.
which it decreed to be in the north.
Which is not true, right? I mean.
Yeah, which makes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Coventry is not north. Yeah. Or is it? I mean.
No, but not really.
Yeah.
I mean, they both call themselves Midlands, but
Yeah.
as we all know, the Midlands doesn't exist.
Yeah, it is just a thing. Yeah, it's definitely south than Midlands. Yeah.
And Norwich is 857 quid. Now,
Okay. Yeah. No.
would you like to guess what the price is in our fair city that we live in?
For a 2-bedroom
For a
apartment?
one-bedroom apartment.
1-bedroom apartment in central
In the centre
London.
of London.
I'm gonna say 2 grand, 3 grand. Or is that
Two grand is very close. It's £1,975 is the average in central London.
There you go. That's the price I'm used to. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know any
And out-
different to that really.
Yeah, and out here it's so we live in Zone 3 near City Airport.
Yeah.
Is £1,428 in London.
Jeez. Well, around here.
That's the outskirts because
Oh
they do
my God.
both in the middle of town and in the outskirts.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing that is, but I mean, one of the biggest differences that you notice
Yeah.
is how different the people how different people view the world. Now, I'm just gonna another editing thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, sorry. But yeah, so the I mean, it is difficult because I was looking at because obviously we do politics mainly. That's the main
Yeah.
thing that we do.
Yeah.
So I looked at the political leanings,
Yeah. Okay.
and
Yeah.
as I mentioned, I'm gonna have to describe the map because your eyes don't work
Yes.
properly.
Yes, that's true.
But I'm not going to use 2019 because that was a massive fluke. It was basically a Brexit.
Yeah. That's.
referendum.
Oh god. Yeah. That's.
So
Yeah.
I'm using 2017. Now the area around London, red all the way through, all Labour.
Right. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
The
Yeah.
south, blue.
Really.
It's more
Very
conservative down
conservative.
south.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, populations There's about 30 million people in the south, about 20 million, if that, up north. So there's more people down south.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But the north, very red. Lots
Very
of Labour.
red?
Yeah,
really?
lots and lots of Labour.
See, I thought it'd be the other way around, you know. There'd be like a lot of South would be red. A lot of London would be a mix of blue and red.
But
actually.
I mean, urban areas are all the major cities are all Labour. All of them are Labour. Urban areas always very left wing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the north is quite. I mean, obviously it's a lot poorer. There's a lot of deprived areas.
Yeah.
There's a village. I think it's called Hebden Bridge, near to which is in the northeast, where you could at one point buy a house for £1. So
what?
Yep.
Jesus.
So.
Oh my God.
I mean, the roof wasn't really there, but
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
So I mean, it costs what, £5,000 to put in a new roof, and £5,000 to put kitchens and bathrooms in.
So technically, you're
getting a house for £15,000.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but the south, it's a lot richer, a lot more conservative.
Right.
With little sprinklings of Liberal Democrat every so often.
Oh yeah, they pop up every now and then. The Lib Dems are down here. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there is just a thing of like Scotland. I know there's one. I mean, obviously we're not talking really about Scotland, but Scotland's very SNP.
Oh yes, very.
Except there are a few Lib Dem seats and even some Tories. The border bit, all Conservative.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
damn. Yeah, that's
in the 2019 election.
Yeah.
And then Brexit. The North was very heavily in favour of Brexit. London very against it. The South very against it.
Yeah.
And Scotland very, 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 very against it.
Oh, Scotland are very against it.
Yeah.
Very, very against Brexit. Yeah.
So all these. I mean, as we're talking, there'll be graphics coming up, so you'll be able to see and look for it yourself.
Yeah.
And I'll link my research in the thing below.
So you can have a look through.
So you can have a look through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there is definitely a lot of differences in quality of life. The life expectancy, it's about 10 years less up north than it is down south.
Really, that's interesting.
And then there's there's things like, for example, down south, the schooling system is significantly better.
Yeah.
Than up north. Like up north, it's quite bad.
Yeah.
And also, big one, public transport. Now, you're from Essex.
Yes, yes.
Now,
growing up, I was from Essex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereabouts in Essex are we talking?
So we'd be talking in sort of Thurrock area, near, I don't know if you know Lakeside Shopping Centre, Southend, all of that area kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I ask is because Southend, there's two lines with trains coming into London every
20 minutes, half an hour.
Every 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So you'd have a train going into London via Fenchurch Street, train going out of London via Shoebury Ness. In Essex, and same for Kent, where my dad lives. You had a couple of trains going into London via Victoria.
Public transport in the south is really, really good, especially in the southeast. Southeast, I mean, the southeast is just London and suburbs.
Yeah.
But the public transport in the south, pretty much all of it is pretty amazing. You've got to go all the way out to the West Country to get bad transit. Up north, okay, Manchester, it's all right. I mean, they've got a tram system and the bus system reasonably okay.
Yes, they're kind of sorted up there.
But one of the big news is that's just come in the new year is a £2 ticket as a cap standard.
Oh wow!
So like here in London, like you can get a bus with a hopper. I could probably get from
fare,
I could probably get from Trafalgar Square a decent little way out to Heathrow.
Yeah, pretty much.
For £1.70.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And if I'm there at night time, one bus, £1.70, drive to Heathrow, and for reference, Heathrow is about 20 miles away.
Yeah,
from central London.
So Heathrow is quite a distance, so it's on the other side. Yeah.
Now I was talking to you about this. There's like a 15-minute bus ride 15-mile bus ride between Darlington and Durham, which are two big towns in the north.
Yeah.
And I said there was £6.70. It's now £2. until March,
right? Okay.
when the scheme ends.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah.
may go back up to the stupid heights. So there's that, but also buses up north. I mean, they're every 20 minutes normally.
Really?
And these
What?
like in towns.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. Every 20 minutes.
The train system is really, really expensive because there's no kind of standardization. It's just you pay between cities.
Yeah.
Standard fee.
Yeah.
And you get, and there's things like you always get delays and cancellations. The actual trains themselves, when they're done with down south, they go up north. Generally,
Right.
Like,
So
like
you get our old trains, basically.
but we've still got trains from the 80s running around just as a standard thing.
Really?
I mean, British train nerds probably are aware of the Pacer, which is kind of like I mean, basically what they did is they put train wheels under a bus and just smash them together.
Is that what and that becomes a train?
Yeah, really bad. We got rid of those in 2020 is when they'll stop running.
So they're gone now. They're not. Yeah.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a stopgap that lasted for 40 years. But here's the mad thing that I found. Those trains were rejected by Iran for being too uncomfortable.
Really?
Yeah, Iran went, we cannot put our people through these.
And then they went up north on the north of
Oh,
England.
no, British Rail, which used to be the train operator, tried to sell them to Iran, and Iran said, absolutely not, these are really bad.
Really?
So, but yeah.
See, that just shows you, doesn't it? That's not good at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's often said that Newcastle exists to ward the Scots out of England.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what the North's for.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, so it's kind of, that's sort of the things that you kind of differences is it's a lot more expensive for certain things like transport, but it's also a lot cheaper in terms of actual cost of living. Except because it's colder up north.
Oh yeah,
the
much colder.
The heating bill is higher.
Oh god, yeah, because our houses being so close together and our flats and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, here in winter, on the winter solstice, where it's like short day, the sun went down at about 5ish. Is when it got properly dark. It gets properly dark at about 4ish up north, in the middle of winter. Like we're filming this at 6:15, and it's just about got to pitch black.
Yeah, and this is January, bearing in mind as well. So it's winter and
it's winter. And yeah, whereas up north, it'll be dark for about an hour.
Dark completely. Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that. But yeah, that's kind of some of the more differences about
North and
south.
South. Definitely.
But yeah,
I think you really don't realise, but the country. And depending on what part of the country you're in, there are huge differences. Huge differences.
Oh yeah. I mean, let's not get started on Scotland and Wales.
Oh god. Yeah, I mean that's a completely different conversation.
Yeah.
One that we could have in some weeks' time, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
but it must be the same in the States and in Canada.
Well, that's one thing that I was going to mention is there seems to be more a top-down split. So like North France, like Paris, all those sorts of areas.
Yeah.
It's very nice, very good. Go down to the playground of the rich in Cannes and Nice.
Okay. Yeah.
You go away from the hotels. It's a dump.
Really?
It looks like a third world. Like
no way.
Yeah, Italy. The north is where all the money is. The south is where all the mafia is. It's also why the Italian police force, Carabinieri, originated in the south. Because that's where the crime was.
Yeah, that's where it all happened in South. Yeah.
Germany, also same thing, top down. There's a difference on the western side. Obviously, a massive difference with the east because of Stalin.
Yeah.
But and then the US has its Mason-Dixon line, which refers to slavery, because obviously the US used to have slavery.
Yes.
So that was basically how it was defined.
Wow. Okay.
And even now, like Northerners and Southerners are kind of different. Like still culturally very different.
Yeah, definitely.
Not all racist. I've been to the south. They're not all racist.
Right.
Some are.
Still was it? Yeah. That's.
Oh yeah. But I mean, there's racists in Britain. Most of them are up north.
Yeah. Whereas here, so that's the difference in it. So in America, it's south, right?
Yeah. So it generally depends. But yeah, I mean, same thing happened. I mean, Canada, there's no real difference because it's more side-to-side, east-west split.
Yeah,
we should probably do one. I've got a series running on my channel that's coming out soon, called All About Canada.
Yeah, okay.
So we should probably do something on that one, just like so take you through what the provinces are. And
Yeah,
all
that'd be good. Yeah,
because that would be fun.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, that'd be very interesting. I think. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, those kinds of that was kind of the last thing that I wanted to say. I don't know if you want to say anything else.
No, I think to be honest, we've covered it all. It's very interesting to look at the different types of culture from each part.
Yeah.
And I think it's very interesting to look at how politically orienting as well, how each part of the England differs. You know, it's very, very fascinating to look at. So yeah, I hope you found that interesting. It's certainly interesting to talk it over, especially from someone who hasn't spent much time in the north of England whatsoever. So that this conversation was completely new to me, really, completely sort of, I guess you could say ignorant views, really, because I haven't been to North either, so.
I mean, the general stereotypes with North are, with the South for Northerners is posh, rich, or stabby.
Okay.
Whereas I don't know what the stereotypes of the North are for the South.
So I would say the stereotypes from Northerners to Southerners, I'd say is obviously, so the accent is a big thing. I think people really exaggerate the accent. They also kind of exaggerate the fact that Northerners, crazy Northerners. You know what I mean? That's another thing I've heard a lot of people say. Oh yeah, they're all crazy up north. And obviously the weather. So I remember one time back in school years and years ago, it was pouring down with rain, and my school teacher was, it's a summer's day for Northerners, you know. So that's another thing that I think people stereotype on down here is that. So.
But yeah, anyway, little editing pause.
Yeah.
Yep. So. Okay. Yep. So that's it from us for today.
This week, yeah.
So if you found us at least tolerable, then
hopefully a little bit tolerable.
Then be free to leave a comment. That's all great. I know my viewers, not that many are from the UK. Quite a lot are from outside. So, but if you want to
be
leave a comment,
to hear an outside perspective as well. Yeah.
But yeah, and also this will be coming out. It'll be out by the time it is. But thanks for watching, and stay tuned
for the next one.
Yeah, stay tuned for the next one. Filler week. I'm going to do another filler week video. I think it's the one about. There's the first in the All About Canada series, where I explain the Canadian political parties. But until then, subscribe,
comment if you feel like it.
And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.